Bryant Moniz, 2010. Bryant Moniz was slinging the ball around Hawaii like he was playing NCAA football on rookie mode. The guy threw for 5,040 yards and 39 touchdowns, leading the entire country in both categories while everyone was focused on Cam Newton's magical Auburn season. Moniz had 2 games where he threw for over 500 yards against Louisiana Tech and San Jose State, and 9 other games where he topped 315 yards. That's just ridiculous consistency. He finished the season with a 39-15 touchdown to interception ratio, which is pretty solid when you're throwing the ball that much. Hawaii went 10-4 that year, making it to the Hawaii Bowl where they lost to Tulsa 62-35. Moniz threw for 411 yards and 3 touchdowns in that bowl game alone, but tossed 4 picks to cap off another prolific passing season for a Hawaii quarterback. Despite those video game numbers, he went completely undrafted and bounced around smaller leagues before becoming a high school coach back in Hawaii. LaMichael James, 2010. LaMichael James from Oregon was putting up equally ridiculous rushing numbers that same season. James ran for 1,731 yards, leading the nation while helping Oregon reach the BCS National Championship game. James was this explosive, shifty runner who could break one loose at any moment, and he had multiple games where he topped 200 yards rushing. His run against Tennessee, where he reversed field and tiptoed down the sideline for a 72-yard touchdown, announced his arrival. Oregon went undefeated in the regular season to win the Pac-10 title. The Ducks matched up in the title game against Auburn, where they lost in a classic 22-19 battle. James had 49 yards rushing in that championship game, with Auburn's defense being too much. The 49ers drafted him in the second round, but injuries derailed what could have been a solid NFL career. Jordan White, 2011. Jordan White from Western Michigan was basically a human vacuum cleaner that season. The guy caught 140 passes and racked up 1,911 receiving yards, both numbers leading the entire country. White had multiple games with double-digit catches and consistently put up over 100 receiving yards per game. Western Michigan went 7-6 that year, making it to the Little Caesars Pizza Bowl, where they lost to Purdue 37-32. White had 13 catches for 265 yards in that bowl game, showing he could perform on the big stage. The Jets drafted him in the 6th round, probably thinking they'd found a hidden gem with those insane college numbers. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in New York. He bounced around practice squads for a few years before his NFL dreams faded. The 2011 season saw NFL star receivers Keenan Allen and Cole Beasley outmatched by White's great season. If you're loving these forgotten college legends, smash that subscribe button. We're posting daily deep dives. Nick Florence, 2012. Nick Florence stepped into Baylor's high-octane offense and absolutely went off. The guy threw for 4,309 yards, leading the entire nation while everyone was focused on Johnny Manziel's magical freshman season at Texas A&M. Florence was running Art Briles' system to perfection, consistently throwing for over 300 yards per game and spreading the ball around to multiple receivers. Baylor went 8-5 that season, making it to the Holiday Bowl where they beat UCLA 49-26. Florence threw for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns in that bowl game, capping off his college career. Here's the crazy part though, Florence didn't even enter the NFL draft. Instead, he decided to finish his master's degree at Baylor and has been working there ever since, most recently as Associate Vice President of Principal Gifts. Sometimes the smart play is knowing when to walk away from football. Andre Williams, 2013. Andre Williams from Boston College was an absolute monster that season. The dude rushed for 2,177 yards, leading the nation while putting the Eagles on his back with old-school ground-and-pound football. Williams had multiple 200-yard rushing games and consistently wore down defenses with his powerful running style, averaging over 180 yards per game. Boston College went 7-6 that year, making it to the Advocare V 100 Bowl where they lost to Arizona. Williams still had 75 yards rushing in the bowl game, a quiet finish to an epic season. The 2013 season saw quarterback Jordan Lynch of Northern Illinois finish as the second leading rusher. Additionally, the Wisconsin duo of Melvin Gordon and James White combined for over 3,000 yards. meaning splitting carries between these two kept them from the top of the stat list. The Giants drafted Williams in the 4th round, and he actually had some decent moments in New York, including a few games where he looked like he might be their long-term answer at running back before injuries slowed him down. Brandin Cooks, 2013. Brandin Cooks from Oregon State was torching defenses through the air in 2013, catching passes for 1,730 yards and leading all receivers in the country. While Cooks had a successful season, the Beavers struggled down the stretch, losing 5 straight to end the regular season before beating Boise State in their bowl game. Cooks was this explosive slot receiver who could take a short pass and turn it into a touchdown, consistently putting up over 100 receiving yards per game. Cooks outperformed other well-known future NFL standouts, Mike Evans and Davante Adams. Despite Oregon State's struggles, Cooks showed he could perform against top competition, having big games against ranked opponents throughout the season. The Saints grabbed him in the 1st round, and unlike most guys on this list, Cooks actually became a legit NFL star. He's bounced around the league, but has consistently been one of the better deep threats in football. Rashard Higgins, 2014. Rashard Higgins from Colorado State was everywhere in 2014, catching 96 passes for 1,750 yards and leading all receivers. His season outpaced guys like Alabama's Amari Cooper and Corey Davis of Western Michigan. The Rams went 10-3 that year, which was a really solid season for Colorado State, and Higgins was a big reason why with his consistent production and clutch catches in big moments. They made it to the Las Vegas Bowl, where they lost to Utah. Higgins had 7 catches for 110 yards in that bowl game, showing his consistency even in a losing effort. The Browns drafted him in the 5th round, and he actually carved out a decent NFL career as a reliable slot receiver. Not a superstar, but a solid contributor who stuck around longer than most expected and made good money doing it. Brandon Doughty, 2014 and 2015. The 2014 season was highlighted by star quarterbacks like Heisman winner Marcus Mariota, Florida State's Jameis Winston, and Cal's Jared Goff. But Western Kentucky's Brandon Doughty had an elite season throwing for 4,830 yards to lead the nation in passing. The guy was just a machine in that Hilltoppers offense, consistently throwing for over 350 yards per game and spreading the ball around to multiple receivers with pinpoint accuracy. Western Kentucky went 8-5 that season, making it to the Bahamas Bowl where they beat Central Michigan 49-14. Doughty threw for 370 yards and 3 touchdowns in that bowl game, showing he could dominate even when the stakes were highest. Doughty had a return in 2015 that unbelievably exceeded his previous one. He threw for 5,055 yards to once again lead the nation for the 2nd year in a row. Doughty had 6 games where he threw for over 400 yards. Western Kentucky went 12-2 that year, their best season in recent memory. They won the Conference USA Championship and beat South Florida in the Miami Beach Bowl. Doughty threw for 461 yards and 3 touchdowns in that bowl win, capping off one of the most prolific college careers you'll ever see. The Dolphins drafted him as a 7th-round flyer, but he never made it past the practice squad. Sometimes great college quarterbacks just don't translate to the next level, no matter how impressive their numbers look. Vernon Adams, 2015. Vernon Adams had transferred from Eastern Washington to Oregon and put up incredible efficiency numbers once in Eugene. Adams had a passing efficiency rating of 179.1 and averaged 10.2 yards per attempt, both leading the nation. Adams was this dual-threat quarterback who could beat you with his arm or his legs, consistently making big plays when Oregon needed them most. His numbers bested Baker Mayfield, who is well known for his own efficiency and obviously is a star in the league and won himself a Heisman Trophy at Oklahoma. Oregon went 9-4 that season, making it to the Alamo Bowl where they lost a wild game in a collapse against TCU, where they led at halftime 31-0. Adams showed flashes of brilliance throughout the season, though injuries limited his playing time. He went undrafted but had a long, successful career in the Canadian Football League. Logan Woodside, 2016. Logan Woodside from Toledo was absolutely slinging it that season, throwing 45 touchdown passes to lead the entire country and over 4,000 yards. Woodside consistently found the end zone through the air, having multiple games with 4 or more touchdown passes. His numbers in 2016 bested other prolific passers such as Patrick Mahomes and Jake Browning. Woodside led Toledo to a 9-3 regular season before losing to Appalachian State in their bowl game. Woodside threw for 247 yards and 2 touchdowns in the game to end his junior year. He came back for another year but was unable to repeat the gaudy numbers 2 years in a row. The Bengals drafted him in the 7th round, but he bounced around practice squads before eventually finding a home as a backup quarterback in the league. Donnell Pumphrey, 2016. Donnell Pumphrey from San Diego State was doing crazy things on the ground in the 2016 season, rushing for 2,133 yards to lead the nation. His senior season total put him at the top of the all-time career rushing yards list, ahead of historic running backs Ron Dane and Ricky Williams. The guy was this shifty, elusive runner who could make defenders miss in a phone booth, consistently breaking off big runs and wearing down defenses with his speed and vision. San Diego State went 11-3 that season, making it to the Las Vegas Bowl where they beat Houston 34-10. Pumphrey ran for 115 yards in the bowl win and pushing his career rushing total on top of Dane by 8 yards. The Eagles drafted him in the 4th round, thinking they'd found their next Darren Sproles. Unfortunately, he never could quite make it work at the NFL level, but in 2016 his rushing numbers exceeded those of high-profile running backs Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, and Aaron Jones. Mason Rudolph, 2017. Mason Rudolph from Oklahoma State was having the season of his life, throwing for 4,904 yards to lead the entire country. While everyone was focused on Baker Mayfield's Heisman campaign, Rudolph was quietly putting up wild numbers in Stillwater, consistently throwing for over 350 yards per game with excellent accuracy. Oklahoma State went 10-3 that season, making it to the Camping World Bowl where they beat Virginia Tech 30-21. Rudolph threw for 351 yards and 2 touchdowns in that bowl win, capping off an incredible senior season. The Steelers drafted him in the 3rd round, and he's actually carved out a decent NFL career as a backup quarterback, getting some starting opportunities and showing he can compete at the professional level. Andy Isabella, 2018. Andy Isabella from UMass was absolutely torching defenses that season, catching passes for 1,698 yards to lead all receivers. The guy was this explosive slot receiver who could take a short pass and turn it into a house call, consistently putting up over 130 receiving yards per game despite UMass struggling as a team. UMass went just 4-8 that year, but Isabella was putting up incredible individual numbers against all levels of competition. The 2018 season saw great numbers from receivers CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and Marcus Brown. But Isabella's season topped them all. The Cardinals drafted him in the 2nd round, thinking they'd found their next slot weapon. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out in Arizona. He's bounced around the league, but never became the consistent threat they hoped for when they saw those college numbers. Rondale Moore, 2018. Rondale Moore from Purdue was setting records that same season with 114 receptions, leading the entire country. 114 catches is pretty wild, nearly 10 catches per game. Moore was this versatile weapon who could line up anywhere and consistently get open, making him nearly impossible to defend. Purdue went 6-7, finished in losing fashion to Auburn in their bowl game, but Moore did his part in putting in 11 catches for 95 yards. The Cardinals drafted him in the 2nd round of the 2021 draft, uniting him with Isabella. He's shown flashes of brilliance, but has been hampered by injuries throughout his NFL career. When he's healthy, you can see why teams fell in love with his college tape. These easily forgotten legendary seasons prove college football's always full of surprises. Sometimes the best statistical performers aren't the household names everyone remembers, or the guys you see at the podium during award season. Subscribe for more deep dives into college football history, and let us know which overlooked star impressed you most.